Hello everyone and welcome to my channel. My name is Colleen, and if you're new here, I'm pleased that you're here with me today. And for all my friends that keep coming back week after week, thank you so much. I appreciate so much that you're here. Today we're just a handful of days away from Valentine's Day, and well, we've been married a long time, so we don't make any fuss about Valentine's Day. We exchange a card and that's about the end of it. But I do like to put together a nice meal, and I thought it might be interesting for those of you who are still in the glow, or maybe you're trying to work your way to happy married life. If it might be interesting today for us to cook up the chicken known around the internet world as Marry Me Chicken. Apparently it's so good that if you make it for someone you care about, you're bound to get a proposal. So if you feel like you're ready for that, maybe you'd like to give this next dish a try. It's one that's really simple, and it's one we really enjoy. So I hope that you will join me right after this. I'll gather up the ingredients and we'll get started. Okay, I feel like I have an awful lot of stuff out here on the counter for a dish that is supposed to be quite simple, and it is quite simple. I am going to start off today with the chicken for Marry Me Chicken, and I have 2 chicken breasts. These are definitely dear these days, aren't they? I mean, wow. Oops, sorry folks. Sure, that was a horrible racket. Now, I'm going to preheat my pan here. I've got it plugged in. I don't normally cook on the counter, but I've got it plugged in over here so you can follow along with me. Okay, so into my pan that I'm heating, I am going to put about 2 tablespoons of butter. And I'm going to add a tablespoon of oil, and this is olive oil. That was probably a generous 1 tablespoon. And then I'm going to be using in this dish today some sun-dried tomatoes in olive oil. So I'm not going to waste that olive oil. I'm going to use about a tablespoon of that olive oil in this dish, just to help fortify it. And then I'm going to get busy on this chicken. So the chicken, this dish works really well with chicken thighs that are boneless and skinless. And you may find them a little more reasonably priced. They're easier to cook with because they don't dry out like chicken breasts do. But I'm trying to follow the recipe as much as I can, so that if you're looking at other pages on the internet, you don't wonder what I've been up to. I'm trying to follow along. So you want to take the chicken breast and run your knife through it to make 2 pieces. And you want to try and keep the pieces as even as possible, because cooking time on them matters. So try and keep each piece as thick as the other one. Now, these seem to be big. I don't want to, although you could, if you were worried about them being exactly the same thickness. You could put a piece of plastic wrap over top of the cut pieces here and pound them out flat so that they're exactly the same. I think that this frying pan may be a bit noisy for this, but it won't be for long. Okay, I'm just going to sprinkle about, I don't know, 6 tablespoons of flour into that pan onto just a flat plate so that I can dredge these chicken breasts. I'm going to give them some salt and some pepper on each side, and then I am going to dredge them in the flour. You definitely want to season both sides because, well, there's two sides to them. And you definitely want them properly seasoned. I am also going to add to them, or maybe I'll do it in the pan. I'll do that in the pan. Can't make these things up yourself. Okay, we'll dredge. And we dredge it in the flour. It helps to thicken it a bit later in the process, but it also helps to protect the chicken, especially when you're using chicken breast. It protects it and keeps it from drying out. So, I mean, you can't leave it in there for half an hour or anything like that. It won't. It doesn't work miracles. Let's put it that way, but it will be helpful to you. Over on the stove, I have a pot of boiling water, or water that's, yes, just come to the boil as a matter of fact, because I'm going to serve this dish with spaghetti. And it doesn't take long to cook this. I had turned that down. I'm going to turn it back up to 350 degrees and wash this stuff off my hands. Now I'm going to let these chicken breasts cook about 3 minutes on each side. Not very long, because we're going to simmer them a little in the sauce afterwards. So what we're trying to do now is get the process started, and then we will finish it after it's browned nicely. We'll finish it in the sauce. So there's no sense, again, we're working with chicken breast, so we don't want that to dry out. I'm just cleaning up the skins off of 3 cloves of garlic. And I'm just going to give these a chop. And check this chicken to see where it's at. Oh, it's starting to get there already. You want it to be nice and golden brown. It will also leave remnants in the pan. So little bits of delightful flavors will be left in the pan. So there. I think that's the toughest part of it right there. It's okay if it's a little bigger. I am going to just try and show you what that's looking like. I'm going to cook a little bit longer, and I'll start measuring out some of the other things that we are going to need. So we will need 1 cup of chicken stock. Now, if you don't have chicken stock, but you do have chicken bouillon, of course you can use a teaspoon of chicken bouillon and a cup of water, and that would be equivalent. We need 1/3 of a cup of sun-dried tomatoes. So I'm going to try picking these out and putting them onto the counter where I can chop them up. Just reach the bottom of the ability of that guy to go. And wow, these smell so good. You need about 1/3 of a cup. And I think I must there. Yeah, 1 more won't hurt. Let me put that aside. I'm going to turn this chicken over, and then we'll move on. I'm going to spin around my little board here. I'll move the garlic off to the side, and I am going to chop up this sun-dried tomatoes. Now, if you find your sun-dried tomatoes are a little too dry, you can always soak them for about 10 minutes in some hot water, and then cut them and use them in the dish. I think you'll find the best results with the sun-dried tomatoes that are packed in oil. This whole dish doesn't take very long to make. I've got some pieces of tomato skin here I'm not happy with, so I'm just going to remove them. And there we go. Back to washing our hands. spin these guys around in the pan a little. Make sure that everything's getting evenly browned. Even though this is an electric frying pan, it doesn't mean that everything is going to be cooking evenly. And you may find this noise distracting, and if you do, I'll be mindful of it and not do this again. But we do have to cook. It's a cooking channel. So if you find it distracting, you just let me know in the comments below, and we won't do this again. So I'm going to spin around right now while this is, I've got another minute to go, and I'm going to drop some spaghetti down into the pot back here. Enough for 2 of us. I don't know if you've caught on yet or not, but this dish goes together really fast. Once you get everything laid out, that's the biggest thing, is to get everything on the go. Okay, I feel like these are beautifully brown, and I'm just going to set them aside onto this plate and carry on with the recipe. So the first thing I'm going to do is add to my pan the garlic. It doesn't look like there's a lot of fat in there, so I'm going to add a little more butter. If I can do it without burning myself, that would be preferred. Just a little more butter. And this will get picked up in the juices, which will be a good thing too. And you don't want this garlic to burn, and you do want to scrape up the bits. I'm using this fantastic little spatula that one of my sisters-in-law gave me. Her name's Shelley. And for Christmas, probably 5 years ago, she gave each of us girls one of these spatulas that says, "Food and friendship, the best ingredients." And then on the other side, it has measurements. So 1 cup, how many fluid ounces, how many tablespoons, teaspoons, and then how many milliliters. So it kind of covers everything, and it's a fantastic little tool. It got raggy as spatulas will, and because I didn't want to give this up, I took a pair of scissors and I trimmed the edges all the way around so that I could carry on using it. It reminds me of Shelley, but it also is super useful to me. Right now, Shelley and her husband, my brother-in-law Barry, are in Belize for the winter, and they really enjoy it there. So I don't know if they'll get a chance to view this or not, but they've been there quite a while now, so I know that they're going to have to come back to the cold soon. Anyway, let's carry on. Also for this recipe, I need to have 1 cup of heavy whipping cream. Now this is whipping cream. This isn't coffee cream or half and half. You want it thicker because it helps to thicken the sauce. I'm just going to measure out this cup, and then I'm going to turn around and stir my spaghetti. Okay, so we've picked up all the bits off the bottom, and it's come back to a bubble. So I think this is a good time for me to add the sun-dried tomatoes in here. And we'll get rid of that. Everything's starting to come together. We're also going to add some herbs to this. Now I need a spoon or use the palm of my hand. Now you could use 1/4 teaspoon of thyme and 1/4 teaspoon of oregano here. I am going to use about a teaspoon of this Italiano blend, but use whatever herbs you like to have with your chicken. I will put the ingredients list below too. As with all my videos, I try to either link the recipe. If it's not my recipe, I will link it if I know how to do that. I have to say that Marry Me Chicken has been done so many times, there's no way that I'm aware of to find the originator of the recipe. There we go. And it is bubbling away. This is a good time to grab a spoon. I just want to check it for seasoning. Seasonings are good. So in we go. We're going to let that bubble about, I don't know, a minute or two. Not too long for sure. And then we are going to add a half a cup of Parmesan cheese. And this, I just bought this grated at the grocery store. You could and should probably use freshly grated cheese. And we need about a half a cup. And we're going to give this a stir again. The Parmesan cheese that you grate yourself would be less likely to clump up, and it would also melt a lot faster. Most of the cheeses have anti-clumping agents on them. It helps to keep the strands dry so they don't all clump together. There we go. Now, into this I'm going to add the 1 cup of whipped cream. And I'm going to give this a good stir before we add the chicken back to the pan. There we go. Oh, it's looking so good. If I move the bottle out of the way, it might make it easier for you to see it too. And it smells divine. Well, this would definitely be, what would you call it? A treat. And it's so fast and easy. Delicious. Now we've got this mixed up pretty well. You can see how fast it's going because I'm not doing any thing behind your back here. I do have people comment on that, by the way, to say, gee whiz, you should speed that up. There's way too much chatting. But I've always wanted to share recipes with you that I could share pretty much in real time so that you can see that the recipes are easy to make, usually under 30 minutes, and that they are available for anyone's skill level. Every now and then I might pop in, I haven't yet, but every now and then I might pop in a recipe that would require a little more precision or skill, but mostly I make food that people really want to eat. Not, it's not terribly fancy. More rustic cooking, I guess. And now I'm going to turn this down on my pan to around 300, and I'm just, it was at 350, so it'll take a minute for it to calm itself. And I am going to let this cook maybe about 8 minutes, 4 minutes per side, turning it over. And then I will come back. By then the pasta will be ready. I'll come back and we'll get this dish all together and ready for dinner. Okay, and now we're just going to, I've shut the pan off. It's still bubbling away, but I've shut it off. And I'm going to serve up some of the spaghetti onto the plate. And then I'm going to add one of these chicken breasts on there. And I'm just going to get a fork. And this is what's for dinner tonight at our house. We are having Marry Me chicken. And I think you would be really pleased with the results as well. So folks, thank you for visiting with me today. I hope that you've enjoyed this recipe, and if you have, you would give it a thumbs up, a like, share it with your friends, And if you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel. And I will see you all again soon. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.